statements started today in the trial against a former Spokane County Sheriff's Office sergeant. Everything we know coming up. And a gay couple recovering after Caldwell police say they were beat up on Saturday night. The details of the case coming up.
Our week is starting off very warm and very dry, and as we head into Tuesday, we have a weather impact alert for fire danger.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. All right, we kick things off this hour with a check of the forecast. I want to get right outside to meteorologist Cody Proctor. As Cody, we are tracking a KREM 2 weather impact alert day for tomorrow. What do we need to know?
Well, what we need to know, Mark, is that we are expecting dry, gusty, and warm conditions for tomorrow with temperatures throughout much of the region, mostly into those 80s. And that, because of how dry it has been, is pretty much spelling out the recipe for fire weather conditions for us. And we've already been seeing some of those fires popping up around the Northwest this weekend. We also have a red flag warning that goes into effect tomorrow morning around our region. You can see just how widespread this is for tomorrow, pretty much throughout almost all of eastern Washington. In all honesty, when you take a look at this, we're also expecting low relative humidity. Even at this time, it's a little toasty out here in the Outdoor Weather Center. Current temperatures are at 88 degrees. Our winds are coming out of the west-southwest at 11 miles per hour. And that relative humidity just staying right there at 18% right now. Around our region, you can see those temperatures. We're not even the warmest ones on the map. That goes to Wenatchee and Moses Lake, where they're seeing sunny skies at this time. At least our winds are, for the most part, on the lighter end of things, calm to double-digit wind speeds. Tomorrow morning, we could start things off in the mid-60s for us, and we are expecting highs to be potentially in the mid-80s for tomorrow, and looking to hang on to those 80s for a few days. I'll have more coming up at your full forecast later.
All right, we'll talk to you then. Cody, thank you. The Whitman County Sheriff's Office has posted on their website that 911 phone service is currently out. If you need emergency assistance, you are urged to call that number on your screen right there. It is 509-332-2521. The Sheriff's Office says they are actively working to restore 911 service as quickly as possible, so we will keep you updated as we get more information. Meantime, Spokane Valley deputies investigating a dramatic early morning incident involving what they say appears to be an attempted fuel theft that ended in an explosion and fire. Investigators say video shows a man trying to siphon fuel from an Exxon station in the 3400 block of South Dishman-Micah Road at around 4:30 this morning using tanks placed inside an SUV. At some point during that attempt, they say an explosion rocked the vehicle, shattering windows and igniting a fire inside. The driver is seen briefly trying to extinguish the flames before fleeing the scene in that burning SUV with a gas hose still attached. The vehicle was later found abandoned and fully engulfed in flames a short distance away. Deputies say it's unclear if the suspect was injured, but they are asking for your help identifying and locating him to check on his welfare. So anyone with information is asked to call Crime Check, that number 509-456-2233. Opening statements and testimony got underway today in the trial of former Spokane County Sheriff Sergeant Clay Hilton. Hilton is accused of beating a man so severely during a 2023 arrest that the jail wouldn't take him. He was sent to the hospital instead. So on your screen now is a body camera footage from that incident. Today in court, prosecutors argued that former Sergeant Clay Hilton allegedly lost control during the arrest of Kevin Hinton. Prosecutors say the incident is an issue of professionalism and an unreasonable use of force. Meantime, the defense argued that Kevin Hinton's actions were criminal and defiant during the arrest. Attorneys maintained that Sergeant Hilton's actions were a reasonable use of force and consistent with his law enforcement training.
This is not a case where he was defending himself. This is not a case where he was using force lawfully. This is a case where he lost control.
You're going to see a polite and professional law enforcement officer dealing with a belligerent and dismissive gentleman, a good-sized gentleman at that, taller than my client.
Kevin Hinton took the witness stand today. He testified he was frightened during that altercation, and he told the court that he was kicked in the side, resulting in 8 broken ribs, and the injuries left him unable to breathe. If Clay Hilton is found guilty, a second-degree assault conviction is punishable by up to 10 years in prison and a $20,000 fine. A civil trial against the Meade School District is now underway at the Spokane County Courthouse. A Meade High School football player claims that he was physically assaulted by teammates during a summer football camp. In a complaint filed in July of 2025, they argue that Meade staff knew about the assault and did not report it, which was legally required. The complaint also argues the staff did not notify parents and, quote, made no meaningful effort to stop the assailants. The U.S. Department of Labor said today that it has secured a federal consent judgment requiring the owners of 4 Washington-based restaurants to pay $750,000 in back wages and damages to 42 workers. This after an investigation uncovered minimum wage and overtime violations. The department found the owners of Rancho Chico in Spokane, Colville, and Omak failed to pay employees required overtime pay. Rancho Chico, they say, paid some non-exempt employees on the salaried basis for all hours worked, which led to their earnings being below the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. The investigation also found Rancho Chico engaged in unlawful retaliation after firing a worker who filed a wage complaint. Cooney County Sheriff's deputies are investigating a potential homicide in Post Falls. Deputies got reports that a woman hadn't been seen in days, so they did a welfare check on Friday night and noticed, quote, suspicious circumstances outside the home. The sheriff's office says then found a woman dead. They say it looks like the victim was a victim of a homicide. They say they don't know much at this point, but they have started an investigation. The Clearwater County coroner has identified the man killed during a SWAT standoff near Weippe as 34-year-old Nicholas Henry Hawley. Investigators say deputies were serving an arrest warrant on Friday when Hawley barricaded himself inside a home with a woman, and after hours of negotiations, investigators say Hawley fired multiple shots at Idaho State Police SWAT officers who then returned fire. Hawley, they say, later died from his injury. The coroner ruled his death a homicide. A woman inside the home suffered non-life-threatening injuries, they said, and was taken to the hospital for an evaluation, but is expected to be okay. A gay couple is recovering tonight after Caldwell police say they were beat up on Saturday night, and we do want to warn you, some images you'll see here might be hard to look at. The 2 men allege they were leaving Acapulco, a restaurant near Indian Creek Plaza, where at least one man shouted homophobic words towards them. The victim claims the suspect then chased them through the parking lot and onto railroad tracks, and it was at that point they claimed the man, quote, jumped them. Police later arrived. They arrested a 55-year-old Caldwell man. He was booked into jail on a misdemeanor battery charge, but police say based on Idaho law, they cannot charge him with a hate crime.
So Idaho specifically doesn't have a code that covers hate crime, unfortunately. It covers crimes that involve national origin, things of that nature, but unfortunately, sexual orientation is not one of those that is actually covered under the Idaho statute.
Both of the victims went to St. Luke's. One of them had to get stitches on his lip. The other says his head is swollen. All right, more to come on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. Federal investigators are working to determine what caused a skydiving plane to crash and burst into flames shortly after takeoff in Missouri, killing all 12 people on board. Everything we've learned so far coming up after the break.